Lily Mercer had one rule for every nurse who entered room 904. Never move the blue lunchbox from the window. Most adults smiled when she said it. Sick children were allowed strange little habits, especially rich sick children in private hospital rooms, with white roses beside the bed, expensive machines blinking softly beside them, and a father whose name was carved into the hospital lobby downstairs. But Noah Carter did not smile. He was crouched behind a service cart outside Lily's room, soaked from the rain, hiding from a guard who had already warned him twice not to come back. He had only slipped into the hospital because the cafeteria trash had been locked early, and the alley behind the building was flooded. Then he heard Lily whisper, "Please don't move it." A nurse answered softly, "Move what, sweetheart?" "The lunchbox," Lily said. "If it's not by the window, I can't see him." Noah's hand tightened on the metal edge of the cart. Slowly, he looked through the narrow gap between the cart and the doorframe. Lily was 10, maybe 11. Her arms were thin under the blanket. A clear tube ran into her hand. Her face looked too pale for a girl surrounded by flowers, warm blankets, and the kind of machines Noah had only ever seen through hospital windows. Beside the window sat a small blue lunchbox. It looked ordinary. Scratched plastic, one broken corner, a faded yellow star sticker on the lid. The nurse reached toward it. Lily's fingers tightened around the bedsheet. "No," she breathed. "Please." The nurse paused, then gave a gentle laugh. "It's only a lunchbox." But Noah saw what the nurse did not. On the shiny blue lid, warped by scratches and rainlight, was the reflection of the doorway. And in that reflection, Noah saw a man standing just outside Lily's room. He wore no doctor's coat, no nurse's badge, no security uniform. And from the way Lily held her breath when his shadow crossed the floor, Noah knew one thing for certain. The lunchbox was not her superstition. It was her warning. By morning, the 9th floor no longer looked like a place where secrets could hide. Sunlight spread across polished floors. Nurses moved in clean blue scrubs. Outside room 904, the service cart was gone, the floor was dry, and the square of space where Noah had crouched looked ordinary again. Noah was not there. A guard had found him before sunrise near the linen closet, grabbed the back of his wet jacket, and marched him through a staff corridor while Noah kept saying he had not stolen anything. The guard did not ask what he had seen. He only pushed open the loading door and pointed to the alley. "Come back again," the guard said, "and I call the police." Noah stood in the rain and looked up at the 9th floor windows. One of them belonged to Lily Mercer. At 8:10 that morning, Daniel Mercer stepped through the front entrance of the hospital that carried his family name. The lobby changed around him. Conversations softened. A volunteer straightened behind the information desk. 2 administrators moved toward him with faces already prepared for sympathy. Daniel did not notice the boy outside by the service gate. He noticed the flowers first. There were too many of them beside the elevator. White roses from board members, orchids from investors, silver cards with careful handwriting. Every arrangement said the same thing. "We are thinking of your daughter, and please remember we are thinking of you." Daniel hated them. He had built his fortune by noticing weak points before anyone else did. Shipping delays, contract risks, bad partners hiding behind polished smiles. But with Lily, he had learned to stand in hallways and wait for other people to explain his own child to him. Dr. Adrian Voss met him outside room 904. The doctor was tall, neat, and composed in a way Daniel had once found reassuring. His white coat showed no wrinkles. Even his concern seemed measured. "She had a restless night," Voss said. Daniel's jaw tightened. Restless how? Anxiety, some agitation, a fixation on an object near the window. The lunchbox? Voss gave a patient nod. Children under prolonged treatment often attach meaning to ordinary objects. Moving it triggered distress. That does not mean the object itself matters. Before Daniel could answer, Vivian Hale Mercer stepped out of Lily's room. She had a pale cardigan around her shoulders and a paper cup of tea in both hands. Her face carried the careful exhaustion of someone who wanted everyone to know she had been there all night. "She asked for you," Vivian said softly. Daniel looked through the glass. Lily was awake, but only barely. Her eyes followed him before her head did. The blue box sat beside the window again, exactly where Noah had seen it. Daniel entered and forced a smile. "Hey, Moonbeam." Lily tried to smile back. It came and went too fast. He sat beside her bed and took her hand, startled by how light it felt. "Vivian said you had a rough night." Lily's eyes moved toward the window. Daniel followed the glance. The lunchbox? Her fingers pressed weakly against his palm. Don't let them move it, she whispered. He leaned closer. Who moved it? For a second, Lily looked almost awake enough to answer. Then Vivian came in behind him. She's been saying that all night, Vivian said gently. Dr. Voss thinks it may be part of the medication adjustment. Lily's hand went still in Daniel's. Voss checked the monitor. She needs calm, Daniel. The more we challenge the fixation, the more distressed she becomes. Daniel looked at his daughter, then at the box. Then at the doctor he had trusted because trusting someone was easier than admitting he did not know how to save her. In the hallway, Noah had found his way back inside through the chapel entrance. He was not close enough to hear everything. A cleaner's cart blocked him from the nurse's station. His shoes squeaked when he moved, so he stayed behind a column and watched through passing bodies. He saw Daniel Mercer come out of room 904 looking smaller than a man with his name on the walls should look. He saw Vivian touch Daniel's arm at the exact moment he turned back toward Lily's door. And he saw Dr. Voss speak to a nurse, take Lily's chart, and close it before anyone else could read the top page. Noah told himself to leave. Rich people's trouble was dangerous. Hospitals had cameras. Guards had radios. Boys like him did not get believed. Then the lights at the far end of the hallway flickered once. Only the section outside room 904. A side door opened. The same man from the night before stepped into the hall, no coat this time, no badge showing, carrying a folded towel over one hand. He did not go to the nurse's station. He did not check in. He waited until Vivian guided Daniel toward the elevator. Then he slipped into Lily's room. And through the glass, Noah saw the blue lunchbox shift away from the window. Noah did not move when the man entered Lily's room. He wanted to. His first instinct was to run for the nurse's station, point at the glass, and shout that someone had gone in without checking the chart. But the nurses were busy, the guard knew his face, and the last time Noah had tried to explain anything, an adult had grabbed his collar before hearing the second sentence. So he watched. The man stayed only a minute, maybe less. Long enough to step beside the bed, long enough for Lily's head to turn toward the window and then stop, as if even that small movement cost her too much. Long enough for the blue lunchbox to slide 6 inches along the sill, no longer angled toward the door. Then, the man left with the folded towel still over his hand. He walked past the nurse's station without slowing down. Noah counted to 10 before he breathed again. He waited until a nurse answered a call light at the far end of the hall. Then he crossed the polished floor with his head down, carrying a stack of clean pillowcases he had taken from the chapel supply closet. Nobody stopped a child if he looked like he was already doing something boring. At Lily's door, he hesitated. The room smelled like flowers, plastic tubing, and something sharp underneath. Not exactly medicine. Not exactly cleaning fluid. The smell tugged at a memory of the shelter clinic, where his mother had once slept for 3 days after a bad reaction to pills. Nobody explained to him. Lily's eyes opened before he reached the bed. For a second, fear tightened her face. I'm not supposed to be here, Noah whispered. That doesn't make me feel better, she whispered back. He almost smiled. Almost. I saw him move it. Lily's gaze shifted to the window. Noah stepped toward the lunchbox carefully, like it might set off an alarm. Where does it go? She watched him with suspicion. You won't laugh? No. Everyone laughs. I live behind a hospital cafeteria, he said. I don't get to laugh at anybody's weird stuff. That made her look at him a little longer. Turn the star toward the door, she said. Noah looked down. The faded yellow sticker on the lid was not decoration. One point of the star had been scratched deeper than the others, almost like an arrow. He turned the lunchbox slowly until that scratched point faced the door. Not there, Lily said. He stopped. A little more. Toward the glass. He adjusted it by an inch. The lid caught the doorway in a crooked blue shine. Noah could see the bed, the IV pole, the strip of hall outside the room. The reflection was bent and blurry, but it worked. Lily let out a breath so small he barely heard it. That's how you see him, Noah said. She did not answer. You can't turn your head fast enough. Her eyes moved toward him. Sharper now. Noah wished he had not said it so plainly. Adults hated being noticed. Kids who were sick hated it worse. My mom used to keep a spoon on the windowsill, he said. At the shelter. She said she liked the light on it, but really she used it to see if the nurse with the blue gloves came in. That nurse hurt her arm putting in the line. Lily studied him. Did anyone believe her? No. That was the first honest thing between them. The machines beside Lily's bed kept their soft rhythm. Outside the glass, shoes passed, voices moved. Life kept going as if room 904 were not holding its breath. My dad believes doctors, Lily said. Most people do. He believes them more than me when I'm sick. Noah looked at the lunchbox again. Up close, it was older than he had thought. The plastic near the handle was cloudy from being held too much. There were tiny crescent marks along the edge, where someone had picked at it with a fingernail. Then he saw the stain. A dry, amber smear under the front latch. It did not match dust. It did not look like food. Noah touched the edge of it with one finger and pulled back when the sharp smell rose stronger. Lily's eyes widened. Don't. I barely touched it. Don't touch that side. Why? She swallowed. Because that's where it drips. Noah looked from the latch to the IV line in her hand. What drips? Lily closed her eyes, and for a moment he thought she had fallen asleep. Then she whispered, When Dad leaves, sometimes they say I need something extra. Who says that? Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. A shadow crossed the glass. Noah slipped behind the curtain just as Vivian entered with a paper cup and a smile that did not reach her eyes. Oh, sweetheart, Vivian said. The lunchbox again? Lily opened her eyes. Her face changed so quickly, Noah felt it in his chest. The suspicion disappeared. The fear hid behind tiredness. Vivian set the cup on the table and moved to the window. From behind the curtain, Noah could see only her hand. Pale fingers. A ring. Nails clean and pink. She reached for the lunchbox. Lily whispered, Please leave it. Vivian paused. Then, softly, almost lovingly, she said, You know what Dr. Voss said about feeding fears. Noah's finger pressed against the curtain seam. Vivian did not move the box this time. Instead, she wiped the lid with a tissue, slow circles over the blue plastic, over the faded star, over the latch where the amber smear had been. There, she said, clean. Lily's eyes stayed on the tissue as Vivian folded it into her palm. A nurse called Vivian from the hallway. She turned, glanced once toward the curtain, and Noah stopped breathing through his nose. But she left. Noah waited until her footsteps faded before coming out. The stain was lighter now, almost gone. Lily looked at him as if she expected anger. Or worse, pity. Noah took the pillowcase from under his arm and held it open. Do you have another tissue? Why? Because if she cleaned it, she wanted it gone. Lily stared at him. Then, with a trembling hand, she pointed toward the small drawer beside her bed. Noah found a crumpled tissue inside, wrapped around a broken purple crayon, and 2 stickers peeled from a hospital chart. He almost asked about them, but Lily's eyes warned him not to. He wiped the underside of the latch once. A faint yellow-brown mark came away on the tissue. Not much. Maybe nothing, but enough. Noah folded it into the pillowcase and tucked it under his shirt. Lily watched the door. You should go. I know. She'll tell them you stole something. Probably. You still came back. Noah looked at the lunchbox, now sitting at the exact angle she had chosen. You knew where it had to be, he said. That means you're not confused. For the first time, Lily's face changed in a way that was not fear. Not happiness either. Relief, maybe. The kind that hurt because it arrived late. Outside the room, the elevator chimed. Lily's fingers moved against the sheet. If they move me, she whispered, the box can't see the door. Noah looked toward the hallway. Dr. Voss had just stepped off the elevator with Daniel Mercer beside him, and Vivian was already walking toward them, the folded tissue hidden in her closed hand. For the next 2 hours, Noah stayed out of sight. He hid where people forgot to look, behind a vending machine near the chapel, under the stairwell landing, once inside a supply closet that smelled like paper gowns and lemon disinfectant. He kept the folded tissue tucked flat against his stomach, afraid the heat of his own skin might ruin whatever was on it. He did not know what the stain proved. That was the problem. A dirty tissue from a stolen pillowcase was not evidence to people like Daniel Mercer. It was trash. Worse, it was trash carried by a boy who had already been warned to stay away. But Noah knew one thing. Vivian had wanted that mark gone. That made it matter. Near noon, the 9th floor changed rhythm. Lunch trays arrived. A physical therapist pushed an empty wheelchair past the nurse's station. A little boy in a dinosaur robe cried because his soup had green things in it. For a few minutes, nobody watched the service hallway closely. Noah slipped back toward room 904 with a stack of folded towels he did not need. Lily was alone. The blue lunchbox sat by the window, angled correctly again. Her hand rested on top of the blanket, 2 fingers moving slowly, tapping once, then twice, then stopping. Her eyes were open, but she looked tired in a way that made Noah think of phones with almost no battery left. "You came back," she whispered. "You told me to go. I thought you would listen. I'm bad at that." A corner of her mouth moved. Noah stepped inside and left the towels on the chair. "They're talking about moving you." "I know." "How?" Lily's eyes went to the wall clock. "They forget I can hear when they stand by the sink." Noah looked toward the small counter near the bathroom. From Lily's bed, her view of it was blocked by the privacy curtain unless she used the lunchbox. Everything in the room had been placed for nurses, doctors, visitors. Almost nothing had been placed for the girl lying in the bed. "You said they give you something extra," Noah said. "Do you remember when?" "Not always." "Then how do you know?" Lily looked toward the drawer. Noah opened it carefully. Inside were ordinary things adults would not bother to inspect. A purple crayon broken in half, a hospital menu with soup circled 3 times, 2 stickers peeled from chart labels, a paper bracelet, and a coloring book about planets. He lifted the coloring book. Lily's fingers tapped once. "No." He put it back. She tapped twice. "Unda it." Noah moved the book and found the back cover had been loosened. A folded sheet was tucked between the cardboard and the paper. "You made a hiding place," he said. Lily's cheeks colored faintly, not from health but from pride. It was already peeling. The sheet was not a letter. It was a map, or something close to one. Noah saw a crooked rectangle for the bed, a square for the window, a small blue box drawn in the corner, and lines pointing to the door, sink, monitor, and chair. Beside them were stickers, 1 yellow star, 1 green circle, 1 torn white strip. At the bottom, Lily had drawn tiny moons in purple crayon. "What are the moons?" "Nights." "How many?" She blinked slowly. "I started after the 3rd time." Noah counted 8 moons. His throat tightened, but he kept his voice even. "What do the stickers mean?" Lily swallowed. "Yellow is Dad." "Because he calls you Moonbeam?" She nodded. "Green?" "Dr. Voss. His badge holder is green." Noah touched the torn white strip. "And this?" Lily's eyes shifted to the door. "Vivian," he guessed. "She wears white when she wants people to think she's tired." That sounded mean at first. Then Noah remembered the pale cardigan, the paper cup, the way Vivian held exhaustion like a prop. On the map, some moons had only the yellow star. Some had green and white. 3 had a small brown dash near the blue box. "The dash is the stain?" Noah asked. "The smell," Lily whispered. "It comes before I sleep too hard." Too hard. Not sleep, not rest. Noah understood why she had chosen the words. Adults could argue with medical words. It was harder to argue with a child describing what her own body felt like. He folded the map, then stopped. "Can I take this?" Lily's face tightened. "No," she said quickly. "I can show your dad." "No. He needs to see it. If you take it, they'll know I made it." Noah looked down at the paper again. The crayon lines were crooked, but the thinking was not. Lily had built her own record out of scraps because nobody had given her a notebook they could not check. "What if I copy it?" he asked. "With what?" Noah patted his pockets. "Empty, except for a cafeteria straw wrapper, a bottle cap, and a pencil stub he kept because sometimes forms had blank backs. He used the inside of the hospital menu. Lily watched every line he drew. When he placed the torn white strip in the wrong corner, she corrected him with 1 weak tap. When he forgot a brown dash near the 5th moon, she whispered, "There too." It took longer than it should have because he kept having to stop whenever footsteps passed. Twice, he moved behind the curtain. Once, Lily closed her eyes and pretended to sleep while a nurse checked the IV bag and adjusted the blanket around her feet. The nurse seemed kind. That somehow made everything worse. If kind people could walk in and out without seeing the map under the coloring book, what chance did Lily have? When they were alone again, Lily whispered, "There's another part." "Where?" She moved her eyes toward the lunchbox. Noah's stomach tightened. "Inside? Under the lining." He took the box from the window, but only after marking its position with the corner of the menu, Lily noticed. Her face softened with approval. The latch stuck at first. Inside, The lunchbox was empty except for a folded napkin, a plastic spoon, and a small packet of crackers no one had opened. It looked harmless, which Noah guessed was the point. "Left side," Lily said. The lining was cracked where the blue plastic met the white interior. Noah slid his fingernail under the edge and lifted gently. A thin strip of paper came loose. There were only 5 words written on it. "She comes when Dad leaves." The handwriting dipped sharply after "leaves," as if Lily's hand had lost strength before finishing. Noah stared at it. Now he had something more than stains and drawings. Lily looked terrified of the paper in his hand. "You wrote this," he said. "I tried." "When?" "After the night with the red shoes." Noah looked at her. "What red shoes?" Lily closed her eyes. "There weren't red shoes." "Then why say that?" "Because if I said white cardigan, they would know." Noah understood slowly. Red shoes were a trap. A detail that sounded wrong to anyone listening for facts. But to someone paying attention, it meant Lily had lied on purpose to protect the real clue. "You gave them the wrong thing," he said, "so they'd stop asking the right thing." For a moment, Noah forgot she was 10. Then the door opened. He shoved the strip of paper into his sleeve. Daniel Mercer stood there. Noah expected anger first. Rich men like to be angry when poor kids were found near things they owned. But Daniel did not speak right away. His eyes moved from Noah to Lily, from the opened lunchbox to the hospital menu on the bed, from the menu to his daughter's face. Lily's lips parted. Noah saw the choice in her eyes. Tell the truth and risk Vivian. Say nothing and lose another chance. "Dad," she whispered, "don't let him take my window." Daniel frowned. "Who?" Before Lily could answer, Dr. Voss appeared behind Daniel, his expression composed and unreadable. "Mr. Mercer," Voss said, "security has been looking for this boy." Noah's hand closed around the paper hidden in his sleeve. Lily's fingers reached toward the lunchbox. But Dr. Voss was already looking at the loose lining. And for the first time, his calm face changed not much, only a small tightening at the mouth. Enough for Noah to know the hiding place had mattered. Daniel's first look at Noah was not anger. It was confusion, sharp enough to hurt. Noah stood beside Lily's bed with a stolen hospital menu in one hand, a blue lunchbox open on the blanket, and a strip of paper hidden inside his sleeve. There was no innocent way to explain any of it. Not quickly, not with Dr. Voss already in the doorway and Lily too weak to sit up. "Sir," Noah said. "She made a map." Voss stepped forward before Daniel could answer. "Mr. Mercer, this boy has been seen in restricted areas repeatedly. We need to remove him before he causes further distress." "He didn't," Lily whispered. Daniel heard her. Noah saw that much. His face shifted toward the bed. Vivian arrived a second later, breathless in the way people became when they wanted others to notice they had hurried. "What happened?" Voss picked up the loosened edge of the lunchbox lining with 2 fingers. "The child appears to have tampered with Lily's belongings." "I didn't tamper," Noah said. "She hid something there." Daniel turned to Lily. "Is that true?" Lily's mouth opened. For one fragile second, the room belonged to her. Then the monitor beside the bed gave a sharper beep. Not an alarm, but enough. Voss moved with practiced speed, checking the screen, touching Lily's wrist, lowering his voice into the calm tone adults used when fear needed to sound like science. "Her pulse is climbing. This is exactly the overstimulation we discussed." Vivian was already beside Daniel. "Daniel, please. Look at her." Lily tried again. "Dad," but the word thinned into breath. Daniel took one step toward his daughter. Then he looked at Noah, at Voss, at the lunchbox, and at the guard now appearing behind them. Noah knew that look. It was the look of an adult choosing the safest thing instead of the true one. "Wait outside," Daniel said. Noah shook his head. "You have to see the paper." "What paper?" Vivian asked. Her eyes went to his hands. Noah closed his fingers. The guard came in. Noah backed away from the bed. "She wrote that someone comes when you leave." Vivian's face did not change, but the paper cup in her hand bent slightly. Voss sighed. "A frightened child repeating a phrase suggested by an intruder is not evidence. I didn't suggest it." "Enough," Daniel said, though Noah could not tell which of them he meant. The guard took Noah by the arm. Lily's fingers reached toward the lunchbox, not toward her father. That hurt worse than being dragged. In the hallway, Noah twisted once and saw Voss lean toward Daniel, speaking quietly, pointing not at the lunchbox, but at Lily's monitor. Vivian stood beside them, one hand over her mouth, her eyes wet without a single tear falling. The guard marched Noah past the nurse's station and into the service corridor. "You like making rich people nervous?" the guard muttered. Noah kept his sleeve tight against his wrist. The paper was still there. At the stairwell door, the guard's radio cracked with a call from downstairs. A delivery problem. A van blocking the emergency lane. The guard cursed softly, shoved Noah through the stairwell, and pointed down. "Go. If I see you above the lobby again, I don't care how old you are." Noah went down one flight, then stopped. Voices came from the landing below. Words rose between concrete walls and metal rails, broken but clear enough to catch. Vivian said, "He found the lining." Noah pressed himself against the wall. Dr. Voss answered, "Then remove the object. She won't let anyone touch it without reacting. That reaction is useful only until it becomes visible to the wrong people." Noah held his breath through his mouth. Vivian's voice sharpened. Daniel saw the boy beside her. Daniel saw confusion. "We will give him a clinical explanation." "And the note?" "A pause." "What did it say?" Voss asked. Noah's fingers tightened around his sleeve. So Voss had not seen it. Vivian's answer came lower. "Enough. That is not a medical term. She wrote my pattern." Another pause, longer this time. Voss spoke with less patience. "Then we accelerate the transfer. Today? No. Too sudden invites questions. Tomorrow morning, if the paperwork is signed before the ethics consult can be requested." Noah did not understand all of it, but he understood enough. Transfer meant move Lily. Move her where the lunchbox could not see the door. Vivian said, "Daniel hasn't signed the updated care authorization. He signed the preliminary packet. He didn't read it. Few people do when their child is deteriorating." Footsteps shifted below him. He crouched lower, afraid even his shadow would fall through the railing. Vivian said, "And if he asks for another doctor? He can ask. Continuity of care matters. I will recommend against disruption. You said the dosage window was closed. It is closed for what you wanted, not for managing presentation." Noah frowned. Dosage window. Managing presentation. They were not saying hurt her. They were not saying poison. The words sounded clean, slippery, the kind adults used when they wanted a thing to pass through a room without leaving fingerprints. Vivian's voice dropped. "She woke too much this morning, because someone moved the box and created agitation. That is how it will be written. The boy took something. If he tries to use it, we have trespass, contamination, and possible theft of medical property." Noah looked down at the tissue under his shirt and the paper in his sleeve. They were already building a cage around him out of words. Vivian said, "What about the proxy? Not active yet, but if Vermont confirms long-term incapacity, do not say that here." For the first time, Voss sounded angry. Not loud. Worse. Controlled enough to be dangerous. "When you speak loosely," he said, "you make ordinary planning sound criminal." Vivian answered after a moment, "And when you speak like that, Adrian, I remember why Daniel trusts you." A door opened below. Noah moved too fast. His heel scraped the stair. The sound cracked through the stairwell. Both voices stopped. Noah ran upward. He did not make it 2 flights. The guard from earlier slammed through the upper door and caught him by the front of his jacket. Noah tried to twist free, but the guard pinned him against the wall. The paper in his sleeve slid toward his wrist. "What did I just tell you?" the guard snapped. Noah clamped his arm to his side. Below, footsteps climbed. Vivian appeared first. Her face showed alarm, then recognition, then something smoother. "Oh my God," she said. He was listening. Voss came behind her, his expression already calm again. Noah looked from one to the other. "You're moving her because she wrote it down." Vivian's eyes flicked to his sleeve. Voss noticed. "Search him," he said. The guard frowned. "He's a kid. He has been in a pediatric isolation room without authorization. If he removed anything, it may compromise patient safety." Patient safety. Noah almost laughed because the words were so wrong. The guard patted his pockets, found the bottle cap, the pencil stub, the straw wrapper. Noah kept his arm tight, but the guard grabbed his wrist and shook it once. The paper strip fell onto the stair. Vivian bent quickly. Noah stepped on it first. For a second, they all looked down at his soaked sneaker covering Lily's unfinished warning. Voss's voice stayed even. "Move your foot." Noah did not. The guard yanked him back. The paper tore under his shoe, half sticking to the wet rubber, half sliding toward the wall. Vivian snatched the loose piece. Noah saw only 2 words before her fingers closed. "Dad leaves." She looked at them, then at him. "That is private," she said softly. "No," Noah said. "It's hers." The guard dragged him down the stairs, harder this time. Noah kept the scrap stuck to the bottom of his shoe by walking flat, terrified it would peel away before he reached the alley. At the loading exit, rain waited like the city had never stopped trying to wash him off the property. The guard pushed him outside. The door shut. Noah stood in the gray afternoon with no coat, no proof anyone would believe, and one torn piece of Lily's message clinging to his soul. Behind him, 9 floors up, room 904 disappeared behind tinted glass. And by tomorrow morning, if the words in the stairwell meant what he feared they meant, Lily Mercer would disappear with it. Daniel Mercer did not go back into Lily's room right away. He stood outside the glass and watched his daughter sleep under the careful glow of machines he had paid for, but did not understand. Dr. Voss had told him she needed quiet. Vivian had told him she needed protection. Security had told him the boy was gone. That was what bothered him. Daniel had built companies by distrusting answers that arrived too quickly. In business, a clean explanation usually meant someone had cleaned it before handing it to him. But in the hospital, surrounded by badges and charts and white coats, he had forgotten how to question. Then he remembered Lily's face when she saw the lunchbox lining open. She had not looked confused. She had looked caught, like someone who had hidden proof because no one would believe a spoken word. Daniel stepped away from the door. "Where is the medication record from last night?" Voss turned from the monitor. "I reviewed it this morning." "I didn't ask if you reviewed it. I asked where it is." A small pause entered the space between them. Voss nodded once. "Of course. The official administration log is electronic. A nurse can print a summary. I want the full record. That may include internal notes that require context." "Then give me the context." Vivian touched Daniel's sleeve. "Daniel, maybe not here. Lily just settled." He looked at her hand until she removed it. Voss walked to the nurse's station and spoke quietly to the charge nurse, a woman with tired eyes and a name badge that read Mara Ellis. Mara printed 3 pages. Voss took them first. Daniel noticed. "Hand them to me," he said. Voss gave the pages over with a controlled smile. "You'll see routine adjustments. Nothing outside expected care." Daniel scanned the columns. Medication names, times, initials, codes. He could not translate fast enough. Still, he saw one thing he understood. A late-night entry marked PRN, as needed, recorded at 1:42 a.m. "What was given at 1:42? Daniel asked. "A mild sedative to manage agitation," Voss said. "Who ordered it?" "I authorized the protocol." "Was I told?" "It was within the treatment plan you approved." Daniel looked at the consent reference number in the corner. He did not remember signing it. That did not prove anything. The past month had blurred into elevator rides, emergency calls, and hospital chairs that made his back ache by sunrise. But the fact that he could not remember was exactly what frightened him. Daniel turned to Mara. "Were you on last night?" Her eyes flicked to Voss. "Part of the night, sir." "Did Lily become agitated before or after the medication?" Voss answered for her. "Mr. Mercer, nurses are not always positioned to interpret the clinical sequence. I asked her." Mara swallowed. "I came on after midnight. She was asking for the box. She said it had moved." Vivian exhaled softly. "That's what we mean. The fixation keeps escalating." Daniel kept his eyes on Mara. "And after?" "She was calmer," Mara said. "Calmer or less responsive?" Mara did not look at Voss. "Less responsive." Voss folded his arms. "Sedation reduces responsiveness. You're hearing normal effects through an emotional lens. Then I want another doctor to review it." "I can request a consult," Voss said. "But disrupting continuity may delay care, and Lily's case is delicate." Continuity of care. It had sounded responsible before. Now it sounded like a locked door. Across the street, Noah watched Daniel's black car idle near the hospital entrance. The torn scrap from Lily's note was in his sock. The tissue with the yellow-brown stain was hidden behind a loose brick near the loading dock. He had learned not to keep everything in one place. He needed to get the scrap to Daniel. A delivery bike leaned against the curb with a plastic food bag hanging from the handlebars. Noah read the label through the rain-speckled plastic. Room 904. He waited until the rider came out, then followed him through the revolving door close enough to look like part of the errand. The lobby guard glanced at the delivery bag, not at Noah's face. Then Vivian stepped out of an elevator. Noah ducked behind a display of donor plaques. Vivian spoke into her phone as she walked. No, not canceled. Delayed. Adrian says tomorrow is cleaner. She listened. If Daniel requests ethics before the transfer, everything slows down. Noah pressed his shoulder against cold marble. Vivian stopped near the plaque with Daniel's name on it and lowered her voice. The boy has part of it. I don't know how much. A security guard crossed the lobby. Noah moved behind the delivery rider as the elevator opened. The rider went up. Noah stayed. He had heard enough to know Daniel had less time than he thought. Upstairs, Daniel had moved into a small consultation room. His assistant, contacted through a rushed call, had sent him PDFs of every form he had signed in the last 30 days. There were 26. He hated himself for that number. He opened them one by one. Consent to treatment. Billing authorization. Release for specialist review. Routine. 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 Then he found the preliminary transfer packet. The signature looked like his. The timestamp did not. Daniel had supposedly signed it at 7:18 p.m. 2 nights ago. At 7:18, he had been on stage at a children's cancer fundraiser 3 floors below, giving a speech while Vivian texted him that Lily was finally sleeping. He opened the hospital media page. A photo showed him at the podium at 7:18, both hands visible on either side of the microphone. Not signing anything, he saved the image before the portal could refresh. A knock came at the consultation room door. Mara Ellis stood outside. I shouldn't be here, she said. That seems to be true of everyone who tells me something useful today. She handed him a folded sticky note. Don't ask for camera footage from the main nurse's station, she said. Ask facilities for badge access on the east service door. Why? Because the hallway camera went down 3 times this week, always for less than 4 minutes. They'll call it a maintenance fault. And the door? Mara looked back toward the hall. Doors don't blink. Before Daniel could ask more, she walked away. He opened the sticky note. 3 times were written there. Sati 3:09 a.m. Sadu and button a. 2:11 a.m. Daniel compared them to the medication log. The PRN sedative had been recorded at 1:42. His phone buzzed. A message from Vivian. Where are you? Dr. Voss says Lily needs consistency right now. Then another message appeared, this one from an unknown number. It was a blurry photo from the lobby below. Noah stood beside the donor plaques, half hidden behind a delivery rider. A second message followed. This is the trespasser from this morning. Security is handling it. Daniel looked toward the elevators. Vivian was using the boy again, not because he was the danger, but because he was convenient. Daniel folded Mara's note into his wallet, slid the medication pages under his jacket, and walked out. Downstairs, Noah had almost reached the side exit when 2 guards moved in from opposite ends of the lobby. Hey, one called. Stop. Noah ran. He cut behind a wheelchair and ducked under the rope beside the donor wall. His shoulder hit the marble hard. The torn scrap in his sock scratched his ankle. A hand caught the back of his shirt. Noah twisted, lost his balance, and fell against the base of the plaque that carried Daniel Mercer's name. People turned. The guard reached down. Let him go, Daniel said. The guard straightened. Mr. Mercer, this kid has been... I know who he is. Noah looked up, breathing hard. Daniel saw the fear first. Then the defiance layered over it like armor. If you have something that belongs to my daughter, Daniel said carefully, I need to see it. Noah did not move. Vivian appeared, Dr. Voss beside her. Daniel saw them both notice the space between him and the boy. Noah saw it too. Slowly, Noah reached into his sock and pulled out the damp, torn scrap. The paper was smeared, but 2 words remained. Dad leaves. Daniel took it as if it weighed more than any contract he had ever signed. Above them, Vivian's face stayed soft, but her hand closed around the stair rail until her knuckles showed white. Daniel did not take the torn paper to Dr. Voss. He took it to the hospital's risk office. That was the first thing Vivian did not expect. Within 20 minutes, a conference room on the 6th floor held Daniel, Vivian, Dr. Voss, the charge nurse, Mara Ellis, and a hospital administrator named Elaine Albright, whose calm voice sounded designed for lawsuits. The room had no windows. A pitcher of water sat untouched in the center of the table. On the wall hung a framed photograph of the Mercer Pediatric Wing, groundbreaking. Daniel smiling with a silver shovel in his hands. He hated that picture now. Daniel laid out what he had. The medication log. The 3 times from Mara's sticky note. The screenshot from the fundraiser showing he could not have signed the transfer packet at 7:18. The torn scrap from Lily's hidden message. Dad leaves. Noah sat in a chair near the door with a security guard behind him. His wet shoes had left marks on the carpet. He kept his arms folded, partly because he was cold, partly because folding them made it harder for anyone to see his hands shake. Elaine Albright looked at the paper scrap without touching it. "Mr. Mercer," she said, "I understand why this concerns you, but we need to separate emotional indicators from clinical evidence." Daniel leaned forward. "My daughter hid that message. We do not know that. She told me not to let someone take her window." Dr. Voss answered gently. "Children under sedation can blend image, object, and fear. It can feel very coherent to them." Noah looked at him. "She wasn't blending anything." Elaine turned to him with professional politeness. "Noah, is it?" He said nothing. "You entered a restricted pediatric unit, handled a patient's personal item, and removed material from the room. That creates serious contamination issues. I didn't remove it. She hid it. You removed the scrap," Voss said, "because you were going to take it." Voss did not raise his voice. "Because a compromised object in a clinical room must be secured." Daniel looked at Mara. "Tell them what you told me." Mara's hands were locked in her lap. She did not look afraid exactly. She looked like someone calculating rent, insurance, and how many people above her could make her life smaller. "The hallway camera did go down," she said. 3 times. But maintenance tickets were filed. "And the medication?" She was less responsive after the PRN dose. Voss nodded, as if she had helped him. "Expected." Mara's jaw tightened. "Expected doesn't always mean comfortable. But it does mean explainable," Elaine said. There it was. Explainable, not safe. Not right. Not investigated. Just explainable enough to survive a meeting. Daniel opened the transfer screenshot on his phone. "And my signature?" Elaine studied it. "The packet you're referencing is preliminary. It does not complete transfer authorization by itself. I did not sign it at that time. Electronic signatures can be queued and timestamped when processed." "Can you prove that happened? We can review the audit trail." "When?" She paused. "By tomorrow afternoon." Vivian finally spoke. "Daniel, that's reasonable. They're not refusing. They're reviewing." He turned to her. "Lily may be moved tomorrow morning." Voss folded his hands. "The transfer is a recommendation, not a kidnapping. A quieter facility may help stabilize her." Noah laughed once under his breath. Everyone looked at him. He wished he had stayed quiet, but anger had already opened his mouth. "You people make everything sound clean." The guard stepped closer. Daniel lifted a hand. "Don't." Elaine closed a folder. "Here is what we can do immediately. We will place a temporary hold on non-essential handling of Lily's personal items. We will request facilities to check the camera outages. Dr. Voss will document the PRN decision in more detail, and we will ask pediatric ethics to review the transfer recommendation." For a moment, Daniel almost believed the room had turned. A hold, a review, ethics, words that sounded like breaks. Noah did not believe them. He watched Vivian's face instead. She looked sad, patient, wounded by suspicion. But her eyes had moved to the guard near the door, then to Elaine, then to the folder marked security incident. Daniel missed that. He was looking at the first path that did not lead through panic. "Good," he said. "Then Lily stays until ethics reviews it." Elaine's mouth tightened. "I said we will ask for review. I did not say the transfer is automatically suspended." Daniel's hope lasted less than 5 seconds. Then the conference room door opened. A second guard entered carrying a clear plastic bag. Inside was a hospital pillowcase, damp at one corner, folded around a tissue. Noah's stomach dropped. The loose brick by the loading dock. He had forgotten the camera above the waste compactor. The guard placed the bag on the table. "Found outside near the service exit. Matches the kid's route." Voss stood, but he did not reach for it. Smart. "Was that taken from Lily's room?" Noah said. "It wasn't from her body. It was from the box." Elaine looked sharply at Daniel. "Mr. Mercer, This is no longer only trespass. This is unauthorized removal of potentially contaminated material from a pediatric patient's room. It may contain evidence, Daniel said. It may contain anything, Voss replied. Cleaning residue, food residue, environmental contamination. Whatever was on that boy's hands, Noah stood. You know what it is. The guard pushed him back by the shoulder. Daniel rose too. Take your hand off him. Elaine's voice hardened for the first time. Mr. Mercer, if you want this reviewed properly, then we cannot allow a minor who has repeatedly breached restricted areas to continue interfering with care. He is the reason we're reviewing it at all. He is also the reason your daughter became acutely distressed this morning, Voss said. That landed. Daniel hated that it landed. Because Lily had been distressed. Her pulse had climbed. Her face had drained when the adults came in. The boy had been there, the lunchbox open, the lining exposed. Voss did not need to lie completely. He only needed to arrange the truth in a way that pointed away from himself. Vivian put a hand over her heart. Noah, I know you may think you were helping, but Lily is very sick. You scared her. Noah stared at her. You scare her. The words cut too directly. Vivian's expression trembled, and this time, the tears came. Not many. Just enough for the room. Elaine looked toward the guard. Contact child services. Until a guardian is located, he should be removed from patient areas and interviewed downstairs. Daniel stepped between Noah and the guard. No. His phone rang before anyone moved. Lily's room. He answered. A nurse spoke quickly. Mr. Mercer, Lily is asking for you. She's upset and her oxygen saturation dipped. Dr. Voss should come up. Voss was already moving toward the door. Daniel looked at Noah. Noah looked back with the flat expectation of a child used to adults leaving when things became expensive. Go, Noah said. Daniel hated him for making it easier, then hated himself more because he went. The hallway outside room 904 was brighter than before, too bright. Lily lay turned toward the window, but the blue lunchbox was gone. In its place sat a clear plastic hospital bin with a printed label across the front. Personal items secured for safety review. Lily's eyes found Daniel. Where is it? She whispered. He took her hand. They're checking it. Her lips parted. Then I can't see. From behind him, Voss said. This is exactly the dependency pattern I described. Daniel did not answer. His eyes had moved to the foot of the bed, where a clipboard hung from the rail. At the top was Lily's name. Below it, in clean black type, was a transport schedule. Vermont Pediatric Continuity Center. Pickup. 8 a.m. Tomorrow. Daniel did not ask who approved the transport schedule. He took the clipboard off the foot of Lily's bed and walked into the hallway with it in his hand. Voss followed him. Mr. Mercer, removing chart materials is not helpful. Neither is moving my daughter to Vermont before an ethics review. It is a recommended transfer, not a disappearance. Then cancel it. You signed the preliminary authorization. I'm revoking it. That is your right, Voss said. But it does not erase the medical recommendation. If a parent refuses an indicated transfer against advice, risk management becomes involved. Daniel heard the threat inside the clean words. Refuse care. Become the unstable father. Delay treatment. Hurt your own child. Vivian stood near Lily's door, arms wrapped around herself. Daniel, please don't turn this into a fight. She needs us steady. She needs us honest. Vivian looked down, but not before he saw anger move behind the hurt. Daniel went back into the room. Lily watched him with tired eyes. The clear bin holding her lunchbox had been placed on the counter, far enough from the window to be useless. He lowered his voice. Moonbeam, I'm going to get another doctor to look at everything. Her fingers moved against the sheet. Before morning? That question broke something in him. A 10-year-old should not have understood deadlines better than her father. Yes, he said, though he did not yet know how. Downstairs, Noah sat in a security office with a paper cup of water he had not touched. A woman from Child Services had arrived. Her name was Miss Alvarez. She had kind eyes, which made Noah trust her less. Kind eyes usually came before forms, and forms came before vans. Do you have a parent we can call? She asked. No. A relative? No. Where have you been staying? Noah looked at the floor. The guard crossed his arms. He's been sneaking around the hospital for days. I wasn't sneaking for fun, Noah said. Miss Alvarez softened. Then why? He almost told her everything. Then he remembered Voss turning every fact into a symptom. If he gave the wrong adult the truth, they would put it in the wrong file. So he said, "I was hungry." On the 9th floor, Daniel called the first person he knew who would not be impressed by his last name, Dr. Priya Sen, a pediatric pharmacologist whose research center he had once funded after ignoring 3 of her emails. He gave her the shortest version he could. Unexplained sedation, PRN dosing, transfer pressure, a hidden note, a residue sample now bagged as contaminated, and camera outages clustered around medication times. Priya did not comfort him. That was why he trusted her. "I can't diagnose from a phone call," she said, "but I can tell you what to ask for. Full medication administration record, pharmacy dispensing logs, waste records, badge access, audit trail on electronic orders, consent metadata, and blood work timing before and after sedation." Daniel wrote as fast as he could. "And don't let them frame this as one mysterious substance," Priya added. "If something is wrong, it may be sequence, dose timing, interaction, or documentation. Those hide inside normal care. Normal care." The phrase made his stomach turn. When Daniel returned to the 6th floor conference room, Voss had already added a note to Lily's chart. Daniel read the screen upside down. Patient anxiety exacerbated by unauthorized minor intrusion. Family distress affecting care environment. Transfer remains clinically appropriate. "You wrote that before the ethics consult," Daniel said. "It reflects my clinical assessment. It reflects your defense." Voss closed the laptop halfway. "A father's guilt is not a diagnostic tool." Daniel stepped closer. "And a doctor's vocabulary is not a locked room." Mara Ellis appeared at the end of the hall carrying a tray of empty medicine cups. As she passed Daniel, one cup tipped and fell. He bent to pick it up. Inside was a folded label, not a note, a pharmacy waste sticker, peeled from a discarded packet. The time printed on it was 1:39 a.m., 3 minutes before the PRN sedative appeared in Lily's medication log. Daniel looked up. Mara kept walking. He slipped the label into his pocket. At 5:47 p.m., Daniel requested the badge access report. By 6:40, he had been told facilities needed security approval, security needed risk approval, and risk management wanted an orderly process. Daniel looked at the transport schedule again. Pickup, 8 a.m. Orderly process meant tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow afternoon meant Lily would be gone. He went to the lobby himself. Noah was being led out of the security office by Miss Alvarez. His face was set hard, but Daniel saw the panic in how he kept checking every exit. "Noah," Daniel said. The guard stepped between them. "Risk office said no contact." Daniel ignored him. "The tissue you had. Did you touch the stain directly?" Noah looked at Miss Alvarez, then back at Daniel. "Just the edge, with my finger." "Did Lily tell you when it appeared?" "She said it drips when you leave, and she made marks. Moons for nights, brown dash for the smell." Daniel closed his eyes for half a second, not in grief, but to hold the details in order. Moons, brown dash, smell, dad leaves. The evidence was not one thing. It was a pattern. Daniel turned to Miss Alvarez. "I need him released to me for 1 hour." "No," she said immediately. "I'll have my attorney." "He is not a document, Mr. Mercer. He is a child with no guardian, no known address, and a current security incident." Noah looked away, but not before Daniel saw the sting. Daniel lowered his voice. "You're right. I'm sorry." That apology changed the air more than the threat had. Miss Alvarez studied him. "One supervised conversation. Here, 10 minutes." Noah waited until the guard stepped back. Then he whispered, "They're taking her box." "They already did." Noah's face tightened. Daniel said, "I need to know exactly where she kept the map." "No. If you take it, they'll know." "I'm not taking it." "Then what?" Daniel looked up toward the 9th floor. "I'm going to make them look at it in front of witnesses." Noah stared at him. "Ask her about the red shoes." "There were no red shoes." "I know. That's why it matters." At 7:18 p.m., Daniel returned to room 904 with Miss Alvarez, Mara Ellis, Elaine Albright, and 2 nurses who had not been on Voss's service. He did not ask permission from Vivian. He did not ask Voss to interpret Lily's fear. He stood beside his daughter's bed and said, "Lily, I need you to show us what you made." Voss entered behind them. "This is inappropriate." Daniel did not turn around. Lily looked toward the counter where the clear bin held her lunchbox. Her voice was thin. Window first. Daniel took the blue lunchbox out of the bin. Elaine protested. Voss reached for it. Daniel placed it back by the window, aligning the scratched star toward the door, exactly as Noah had described. The lid caught the hallway in its crooked shine. And in that bent reflection, every adult in the room saw Dr. Voss standing behind Lily's bed with one hand already inside his coat pocket. For 1 second, nobody moved toward Dr. Voss. Not because they did not understand what they had seen, because every adult in room 904 understood the cost of accusing a doctor in front of a child. Voss removed his hand from his coat slowly. Between 2 fingers was a small capped syringe. "Emergency medication," he said, "for agitation." Daniel kept his eyes on the syringe. "Was it ordered?" "It is within protocol. That is not what I asked." Elaine Albright stepped closer, her risk office calm thinning at the edges. "Dr. Voss, place it on the tray." Voss looked at her. "You are allowing a distressed parent and a trespassing minor to dictate care." "No," Daniel said. "I'm allowing my daughter to show us where to look." Lily's fingers moved against the sheet. Noah, standing in the doorway under Miss Alvarez's supervision, saw it first. The drawer. Daniel opened the bedside drawer and lifted the coloring book. Under the loosened back cover was Lily's map. Vivian took one quick step forward. "Daniel, she's a child. Those drawings don't mean what you think they mean." Daniel did not answer her. He laid the map on the foot of the bed where everyone could see it. Moons for nights, stickers for visitors, brown dashes beside the nights when Lily had slept too hard. Mara Ellis leaned in. Her face changed as she counted. "These match my late shifts." Voss shook his head. "Retrospective interpretation. Children create patterns where none exist." Daniel took the waste sticker from his pocket and placed it beside the map. "Then explain why this pharmacy waste label is printed at 1:39, 3 minutes before the PRN dose appears in Lily's official log." Voss's answer came too smoothly. "Waste can be prepared before administration." Dr. Priya Sen's voice came from Daniel's phone on speaker. She had been listening from her office across the city, not as Lily's treating doctor, but as an independent pharmacology consultant Daniel had requested in writing. "It can," Priya said, "but not usually without corresponding order activity. Mr. Mercer, ask for the order audit, not just the administration record." Elaine turned to the nurse by the computer. "Pull the order audit." The nurse hesitated. Elaine's voice sharpened. "Now." Vivian moved beside Daniel. "This is becoming cruel. Lily is watching everyone turn her room into a courtroom." Lily whispered. "I made it a courtroom." The words were so faint that Daniel almost missed them. Noah did not. "She made it because nobody listened," he said. Voss pointed toward him. "This is precisely the problem. He has coached her." Lily's eyes opened wider. Daniel lowered himself beside the bed. "Moonbeam, did Noah tell you what to draw?" She shook her head once. "Did he tell you to write, 'Dad leaves'?" Another weak shake. Vivian said, "Daniel, please." "She is exhausted." Lily looked at Vivian then, not with panic this time, but with something smaller and steadier. "I said red shoes," Lily whispered. Vivian's face remained soft. "Yes, sweetheart. You were confused." "No." Lily swallowed. "I said it wrong on purpose." Daniel looked from Lily to Noah. Noah said quietly, "She told me. If she said white cardigan, they'd know." The white cardigan. Vivian had stopped wearing it after that morning. Elaine looked at Vivian's pale blue blouse, then back to the map, where the torn white strip appeared beside 3 moons. The nurse at the computer said, "I have the audit." Everyone turned. She read carefully. Order entered 1:41 a.m. Modified 1:43. Note added 5:12 a.m. User credentials. Vossa. Voss did not flinch. Clinical updates. Mara stepped forward. The camera outage was 1:39 to 1:43. Elaine looked at her. "You have that report?" "Facilities sent it to me by mistake, after Mr. Mercer requested badge access." Mara held up her phone. East service door opened at 1:38, using temporary vendor credentials. Daniel's voice lowered. "Who requested the vendor credential?" The nurse clicked again. Elaine read over her shoulder. "Vivian Hale Mercer." Vivian gave a breathless laugh, small and wounded. "I requested several passes this week. Flowers, meals, private aids. You all know that." Daniel looked at Voss. "And the syringe?" Voss placed it on the tray himself now, as if cooperation could become innocence. A standby sedative, unused. Priya's voice came through the phone. Bag it. Document the label. Compare lot number against dispensing logs. Elaine nodded to Mara. Do it. For the first time, Voss's composure thinned enough for Daniel to see the man beneath it. Not frightened of guilt, but frightened of records. Vivian turned to Daniel. You are destroying everyone who tried to help you. No, Daniel said. I'm finally checking what I paid everyone not to question. That landed on him as much as on her, because it was true. His money had built the wing. His trust had protected Voss. His absence had given Vivian room to stand between him and Lily with a cup of tea, a soft voice, and paperwork he had not read. Elaine closed the laptop. The transfer is suspended pending emergency ethics review. Dr. Voss, you are removed from Lily Mercer's care team until this is reviewed by medical leadership. Voss's voice chilled. That is an overreaction based on contaminated material and emotional testimony. No, Elaine said. It is a temporary safety action based on documentation irregularities, access discrepancies, and an unlogged medication in a patient room. Vivian reached for Lily's hand. Lily pulled her fingers back. The movement was tiny. It was enough. Daniel saw it. So did everyone else. Noah stepped back from the doorway, as if he had no right to witness what came after. Miss Alvarez placed a hand lightly on his shoulder, not holding him there, only letting him know someone knew he was still in the room. Daniel picked up the blue lunchbox and set it near Lily's pillow. Not at the window this time. Only if you want it there, he said. Lily looked at the box, then at the door, then at her father. Can Noah stay? She whispered. Daniel looked at Miss Alvarez, then at Elaine, then at the guards outside the room. For once, he did not ask what the easiest rule was. He asked what the right witness had earned. Yes, Daniel said, supervised, but yes. Noah did not smile. He only looked at Lily's map on the bed and the lunchbox beside her hand. For the first time since he had slipped into the hospital to escape the rain, the adults were not asking him to leave before the truth finished speaking. The emergency ethics review began at 9:30 the next morning. Not in Lily's room, not beside machines, flowers, or the blue lunchbox. It began in the board conference room, under the same framed photograph of Daniel Mercer holding a silver shovel at the opening of the pediatric wing. Dr. Voss sat at one end of the table with hospital counsel beside him. Vivian sat 2 chairs away, hands folded, face pale and carefully wounded. Elaine Albright read from a file instead of from memory. Preliminary review confirms irregularities in medication. Order timing, delayed documentation, unexplained service, door access, and inappropriate continuation of a non-urgent transfer after a family request for ethics review. Voss did not look at Daniel. The word inappropriate is premature. The word criminal would be premature, Elaine said. Inappropriate is accurate. Vivian's attorney began to object, but Elaine continued. Until outside review is complete, Dr. Adrian Voss is suspended from patient care privileges at this facility. Mrs. Vivian Hale Mercer's access to Lily Mercer is restricted pending investigation of unauthorized vendor credentials and care authorization documents. Noah sat beside Miss Alvarez, shoes still damp, hair still uneven from sleeping in a child services interview room. When Elaine turned to him, he braced for another accusation. Instead, she said, Noah Carter's status in this matter is amended from security violator to protected witness. Noah looked down at the table. Daniel stood. He had spoken to boards, investors, governors, men who believed money was a language only they understood. None of those rooms had ever made his voice feel smaller. My daughter tried to tell me something, he said. A boy with nowhere to sleep heard her before I did. That happened because I trusted systems I paid for more than I trusted my own child's fear. He looked at Noah. And because this hospital saw him as a problem before it saw him as a witness. Noah did not smile, but he did look up. Daniel turned back to the board. I want every record preserved, every access log, every order change, every person who asked a question and was ignored. Not because my name is on the wall. His voice tightened. Because my daughter's name was on the chart. 3 weeks later, Lily Mercer left room 904. Not standing, not smiling for cameras. She left in a wheelchair with a blanket over her knees, a nurse walking slowly beside her. and Daniel carrying the blue lunchbox in both hands, as if it were breakable. The hospital did not announce it. There was no press statement with a photograph of father and daughter. Daniel refused the public relations team when they suggested one. He had learned the difference between being seen and being present, and for once, he chose the quieter work. Lily was not healed. Her hands still shook when she held a spoon too long. Some mornings she woke afraid because a cart squeaked outside her door. Loud footsteps in the hallway made her face tighten before she could stop it. The new doctor, Dr. Priya Sen, explained recovery in plain language and never touched the lunchbox without asking. That mattered to Lily. So did the fact that Daniel asked now. "Window?" he said when they reached the step-down rehabilitation room. Lily looked at the sill. The view was different here. No city skyline. Just a brick wall, a maple tree, and a strip of sky between buildings. She thought about it for a long time. Then she nodded. Daniel set the lunchbox by the window, but not at the old angle. Lily guided him with 2 fingers until it faced the room instead of the door. He noticed. She noticed him noticing. "I don't need it to watch people come in," she said. Daniel's throat worked before he answered. "Then why there?" Lily looked at the faded yellow star on the lid. "Because I want to see it when I wake up." That was all. It was enough. Noah came on Tuesdays and Fridays at 4, supervised at first by Miss Alvarez, then by a youth advocate who brought paperwork in a folder and snacks in her purse. He hated both. The paperwork made him feel trapped. The snacks made him feel bought. Daniel learned not to hand him things too quickly. The first time Daniel offered new shoes, Noah refused them so hard the box fell sideways on the floor. Daniel almost explained that his old shoes were soaked, split, unsafe. Then he stopped. "Would it be easier if they stayed here?" Daniel asked. "You can decide later." Noah looked at him like he was checking for a trick. "Maybe," he said. The shoes stayed under the visitor chair for 11 days before Noah wore them. He never thanked Daniel for them. Daniel never asked him to. The investigation did not end cleanly. Dr. Voss hired an attorney and called everything a misinterpretation of complex care. Vivian claimed she had relied on medical advice and only wanted stability for a frightened child. The state medical board opened a formal review. The police requested records. Hospital leadership promised reforms in language Daniel no longer trusted until he saw signatures, dates, and people assigned to do the work. Mara Ellis testified behind closed doors. Afterward, she visited Lily with a stuffed moon from the gift shop and apologized for all the time she had adjusted blankets without asking whether anything else in the room mattered. Lily accepted the moon. She did not accept the apology right away. That was allowed too. One afternoon, Noah found Lily drawing again. Not maps this time. A cafeteria, a storm cloud, a service cart, and a tiny square of blue by a window. "You made me too tall," he said. "You're standing on a curb. I was not. You were in the picture I wanted." He did not know what to do with that, so he sat in the chair and peeled an orange badly while she laughed at him for leaving too much white skin on the slices. Daniel watched from the doorway, but only for a second. Then he knocked. Lily looked up. "You can come in." That became the new rule. No one entered without knocking. Not doctors, not nurses, not Daniel, especially not Daniel. Months would pass before Lily slept through an entire night. Longer before Noah stopped hiding food in the pockets of chairs. Longer still before Daniel stopped reaching for his phone whenever guilt became easier than conversation. Healing did not erase what happened. It changed who had to carry it alone. On Lily's last day in rehabilitation, Daniel asked if she wanted the lunchbox packed in her bag. She shook her head. "Window?" he asked. Lily smiled a little. "No," she said. "Table." So he placed it on the small table between her chair and Noah's. Not facing the door. Not guarding the room. Just sitting there in the afternoon light, scratched and faded and still blue, while 2 children argued over orange slices, and a father stayed long enough to hear the whole argument.